lovely day!
Relating to the slaying of a main force patrol officer
Who was he?
in a road blockade accident last month.
Just another glory roader, I guess.
Toe Cutter is a glory roader, one of the most sadistic.
Anything I say, anything you say, what a wonderful philosophy you have. Take him away.
I want my baby.
You've not got a sense of humor.
It is by my hand you will rise from the ashes of this world!
Mad Max and Fury Road present many similarities. They're set in a dystopian world, and in spite of their different context, they manage to convey very similar emotions to their audience by using the same tone and energy. Amongst the several focal points of both films is the theme of masculinity. Mad Max and Fury Road both have Max as their protagonist, and in both movies two types of masculinity are displayed: the damaging and toxic masculinity of the villains Toe Cutter and Immortan Joe, and the salubrious, heartwarming masculinity of Max. The theme of masculinity is one that is very frequently tackled by the 80s blockbusters, and it is an element that plays a key role in both the movie's tropes. Another remarkable similarity is how in both movies Max, through his actions and behavior, mirrors society and its corrosion. In the first movie, Max lives in a world where, even if barely, justice still exists. This allows him to stay sane and to stand tall in the name of something that seems to be unreachable in both films: justice. Since the very beginning of Fury Road, the audience gets to know a similar yet changed Max, who has become a byproduct of the world he lives in, with a skewed yet existing moral compass, that in the very end will allow him to change things for the best.
I'm gonna talk about the comparison and similarities between dystopian heroes in Mad Max movie. Both heroes are represented by the same actor called Hugh Case Byrne. For the first Mad Max, released in 1979, Toe Cutter is the leader of a biker gang who terrorize all the city and want to revenge one of his brothers who are a member of the gang surnamed the Eagle of the Road. He was killed by an accident with the police. During this movie, the band has committed a lot of crime, like shoplifting or aggression on girls and children. They are the leaders of the world, and all the population are terrified about this gang. The main idea of this gang is to find the police officer who committed the crime of their brother and kill him. In the last Mad Max, released in 2015, the dystopian hero called Immortan Joe is the leader of the city in the middle of the desert, with really old temperature. Only this leader, Immortan Joe, have the access to give water on the population. He has a big army with him, and all the soldiers are slaves of him. He also tortures and rapes girls to have baby with them. He is the supremacy leader, and all the population are subject to him and are afraid about him.
Max Fury Road and Mad Max highlights the masculinity and the place it occupies in our society. This dystopian movie focuses on two types of masculinities: the toxic, the destructive type, presented by Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road and Toe Cutter in Mad Max, and the good and healthy and productive type, characterized by Max in both movies. The conflict between these two drives the film a way forward for our world, as it is launched in the culture in which there are contradictory points of view of masculinity. On one hand, masculinity is glorified, as our political leaders, sports stars, and business figures are mostly men. And on the other hand, this culture warns us about the danger of masculinity. From men who rape and boys who commit crime under the excuse that boys will be boys and have lack of self-control, all male characters in these two dystopian movies are mostly men. They all have the ideal masculine figure from their looks and especially their strength. The only difference between the good and the bad ones in what is it the way they choose to use their masculine capabilities, for one who wants to free the population and the other one who prefers to control in a dictatorship way. Here, the anti-hero exploit their power in subjugating and mistreating women, while the hero use their power to support and construct, as Nukes in Mad Max Fury, and Jim, which both accompanies Max to back escaped sex slaves who want nothing more than their freedom. It is true that nowadays there is more typical testosterone movies, masculine movies. Mad Max could actually be one of them. Even though the main characters in both movies are men, it is quite obvious that if you think out of the box when watching both movies, that the message which wants to be given to its viewers is reflected through female characters in a radical idea that women are not property.